For those who don't know, Brody Stevens, a comic mainstay, a comedian's comedian, a positive man, one of the funniest guys out there, one of the best warm-up comedians, and the heart of Los Angeles comedy has died. His entire persona, everything about him, his entire scheme behind what he does on stage, his entire shtick was positive energy. Yes, enjoy it. You may not have heard of this guy, but you might hear a lot of podcasts start off this way this past week if you listen to a lot of podcasts like I do. You see, he was a very positive guy, and I say was because Brody Stevens murdered himself with a rope. He took a rope and he put it around his neck and he fucking choked himself until he died. Which is not a very positive. If I've learned anything from Brody Stevens, it's that positivity doesn't work. It very much does not work. Again, if you don't know this guy, every LA comedian, and then comedians even outside of LA apparently, they all knew him, they all worked with him, they all loved him. He was in the Hangover movies. Now he's in the Hangover Part 4. You're welcome to it. You're watching it. And he killed himself just out of nowhere, according to his friends. I've got a different theory on that, but let's go to the most trusted name in news when it comes to 2019 and on the internet. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Rogan. Let's see what Joe Rogan has to say about the death of Brody Stevens.
We just lost Brody Stevens, died.
Yeah, he got off his meds.
Yeah.
He didn't like the way it felt to be on them, and it was he's so hard. That's such a hard one to take because everyone loved that guy, and to think that everyone, he has no haters. I don't know a single person was like, that guy was a dick.
No
one. Everyone loved him.
He hit everybody really hard.
Yeah, from close friends to people who just knew him a little bit. Like, I knew him just a little bit.
He was so sweet, but he was so tortured. He was just in pain all the time.
Yeah, he was tortured.
Yeah. It's so strange that you think the thing that people like most is for other people to love them and to care about them. And everybody loved Brody.
Yeah.
But yet he couldn't.
But he still took a noose and he hanged himself. Now he's dead. He's a corpse. I don't like the fact that he's dead. I almost made myself a dead skull man as well. I tried to hang myself in a closet one time with a belt. I didn't use a noose. I used a belt, and it turned out I was too fat, so it didn't work. I just didn't die. I was too fat, and the belt wouldn't stay up in the door of the closet. That's true. That really happened. Don't worry. I'm a former suicide guy. But was Brody Stevens ever really a suicide guy at all? Again, I would have no interest in this topic at all if it weren't for the fact that I listen to podcasts all the time. Joe Rogan, all these podcasts, and they all love this guy. They all talk about Brody Stevens. He's been on all these podcasts, and I got to admit, as a listener of these podcasts, I'd listen to him on them, and I'd go, okay, what is this? What are we doing here? We're just playing around with a mentally ill man? He's just an insane man that they're sort of playing along with, going, okay, Brody, yeah. You laugh at him the way you laugh at one of the weirdos that Tim and Eric pick up off the street. And they would bring him on these podcasts. I'm not trying to speak ill of the dead. You should never speak ill of the dead. I'm just saying that's how I really did feel back when I listened to these podcasts. And now this week, because he killed himself on Friday, this week all the podcasts start coming out, and they're all the sappy, oh, Brody, ooh, let's talk about Brody, ooh, let's get together, the tortured souls. I already see it in the chat room. Some people use comedy to cope, and, oh, comedians are always committing suicide. They're the dark jesters of this world, comedians. I fucking hate stand-up comedians. Okay, so really, this episode is an excuse to complain about stand-up comedians. That's what we're really doing here. And I'm so sick of this idea that every comedian is this tortured soul. Joe Rogan ain't a tortured soul, okay? The only thing torturing his souls are the weird, lumpy masses of muscle he has on his tiny frame. He's too small to be that wide. His head has too much meat on it. He should be harvesting that and turning it into jerky instead of elk. These comedians, they're not all tortured souls. They're mostly just egotistical retards. And that's it. And frankly, I don't fully believe that Brody Stevens killed himself. I kind of think that maybe, just maybe, a certain other very famous comedian did the work for him. Let's go bully the internet. This is PODAWFUL.
PODAWFUL TV. Oh, y'all is doing it right. PODAWFUL sucks, you faggot. Buzz boy. You danger. You scam artist, douchebag. You're the worst, motherfucker. Just give up. You fucking little piece of shit.
You're crazy. You're sick of the head.
Fucking dweeb, faggot, jackass. PODAWFUL sucks. You know what? You're not funny. I want to really kick your ass. You're human trash.
My mom doesn't like it when I mention PODAWFUL anymore.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Pizza Fund only primo episode of PODAWFUL this week. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. I know probably a lot of you are like, ooh, is there even an episode happening this week? I haven't been posting a lot on the internet lately. Well, that's because I'm fucking banned everywhere, essentially. I'm down to my last account on Facebook, and I mean, when I say my last account, I mean I made this account in case the last account went down. I've got a feeling, call it a hunch, I've got a feeling there's a certain person who is flagging my posts. Maybe they're feeling a little, I don't know, they feel like they need to get a little revenge in or something. I don't know. If you think you figured out who I'm talking about, don't do anything. We don't care, all right? It's not that big a deal. Honestly, I have great pity for that person, and I'm not looking for any sort of revenge. That's not what anything is about. Hopefully they get over their little tiff, but there's a lot of stuff going on with Facebook right now in particular. We might get to that later in the show. We've got a lot of stuff to go over here, though, tonight. This is going to be a long one. First, what I want to do, though, is I've got a bit of creepy found footage. Watch this video and tell me that the ending of it doesn't haunt you. I'll have to read the text to those of you who are listening to the audio version of this, but you're not going to believe what happens here. Okay? Brody Stevens interviewing a very haunting figure. Take a look.
Okay. We're going to let you go. Pat and Oswald. Pat, no, you got ice cream on your face. Look out.
What? Oh, I was saying goodbye.
He's leaning in the ice cream.
In the end, Brody completed his challenges. Shadow Man explained that this training would give Brody the tools he needs to succeed in show business. Fuck, sorry, hang on. However, in the following months, without the assistance of the production crew, Brody could not secure lunches with other comedians and starved to death. There's Brody eating a ton of ice cream. And then it says, in memory of Brody Stevens, 1971 to 2008. This predicted Brody's death 11 years ago. How spooky is that? And of course, he was talking to one and only Patton Oswalt. And that is the way you have to say his name. That is a frightening man, okay? So thank God for dead comedians.
Sorry, nigga. This content right here is Pizza Fund only.
PODAWFUL.pizza.
This shit is beefer.
PODAWFUL.pizza.
We got shooters in these streets.